BTS's Jungkook has finally completed his final military ceremony, but the moment that should have been full of emotion turned into a big question mark. Where is his family? Why didn't any of them appear? Is this a silent protest? Or is there a much more painful reason? A mysterious letter from Jungkook that was leaked after the ceremony immediately changed the atmosphere so gripping. What exactly is it hiding? No hugs. No applause from the parents. There was neither the happy smile of an older brother, nor the teary eyes of the usually most devoted mother standing in the front row of every important moment of her life. Jungkook's final military ceremony, which was supposed to be the climactic point in his mandatory military service, was quiet and questioning. Not only the army, even the military staff looked astonished. The figure of Jungkook, who is known to be very close to his family, suddenly stood alone at this important moment. There was no sign of his mother, father, or brother. Not even Big Hit's old manager was in sight. What exactly happened? Is this just a coincidence? Or is there something deeper Jungkook is trying to hide? When the weather at the ceremony site was cold and cloudy clouds hung heavy, the atmosphere in the hearts of the fans was much darker. Many expected the ceremony to be an emotional moment, a culmination of Jungkook's long struggle in the military. But the opposite appears, an atmosphere that is cold, silent, and leaves more questions than answers point one by one. The media cameras highlighted Jungkook's face, which was still firm, but clearly holding something back. His eyes looked swollen, but not from fatigue. He occasionally clenched his jaws, as if holding back emotions that were already at the limit. Several soldiers present outside the gates of the military headquarters captured the moment when Jungkook turned his face and wiped something off his cheek. Is that a tear? And then, like lightning in the middle of the night, a letter spread. Handwritten, with black ink that has been slightly washed off at the end. The letter was not read out officially, nor was it made public by the military. But somehow, photos and excerpts from the letter began to circulate in closed fan communities. It's electrifying. To those who have been a light in my darkness, if you're reading this, I may have already completed my responsibilities. But if I stand alone today, it's not because I don't need you, but because I don't want you to see me in this state. I don't want you to see my weak side, because I don't even know, will I be able to stay strong on this last day? Instantly, the entire virtual universe exploded. What does Jungkook mean by things like this? What kind of weak side does he mean? And why would he feel the need to protect his family from seeing him in person at a moment of this magnitude? Question after question arises. Army is divided. Some feel that perhaps Jungkook's family had personal reasons, perhaps there were health issues or other important affairs. But others believe there is something more emotional, more personal, and perhaps more painful than that. A former Big Hit staffer, who declined to be named, wrote on his personal account, "If you know how Jungkook has kept his family out of the spotlight since before his debut, you probably understand. But I also know he never cried in front of them. Today, she's crying." What was so heavy that it made Jungkook cry? Why would he want to hide it from his family? Some fans began to pull the red thread of some previous events. At the beginning of his military service, Jungkook had mentioned that he felt very pressured to leave the world that had raised him. He said, "I'm afraid I can't go back to what I was." A lot of people thought he was just joking. But today, the meaning of that sentence feels like a bullet. Does that pressure make him feel undeserving of being seen by his family? Or did something happen during his military service that made him change so drastically? The letter, while short, felt like a scream hidden for too long. Not just because of his family's sudden absence, but because of the way Jungkook reacted to it. By being silent, with a fake smile, and by wiping away tears silently, the army wrote on Twitter, "If it weren't for such great love, no one would be willing to stand alone in the middle of such a big ceremony. Jungkook is hiding something. And that letter was just a little bit of a wound that he never told me about." Among all the excitement, news emerged that the letter circulating was only one of the 3 letters written by Jungkook. The other 2 are said to be still in storage, and their contents are not yet known. One is intended for his family, another for someone referred to only as Hyung. Is that Hyung, referring to Jin, J-Hope, or maybe someone far from the spotlight? Or is it about the emotional connection that he has been hiding from the public all this time? And most surprisingly, some fans suspected that the reason his family didn't attend was not because they couldn't, but because it was requested by Jungkook himself. Yes, requested. To not come. Why? Was it because he felt like a failure? Is it because of trauma? Is there an internal conflict that has been neatly covered behind the smile of a world-class idol? Even more heartbreaking, when the ceremony was over and the rest of the military were greeted with hugs, Jungkook simply walked straight toward a black, driverless car that looked unfamiliar. He didn't look up, not smiling, just bowed briefly towards a senior officer and stepped quickly. The army that was following from afar noticed something striking. The car did not lead to his house, not even to the apartment where he used to live. Rather, head for a small hotel in a suburban area. A place where many ordinary people are looking for tranquility. I.S. Jungkook trying to avoid something? That night, her official Instagram account did not upload anything. But an Insta story appears only for a few seconds. Black background, classical music, and one sentence: calmness does not come from hugs, but from distance. Army, who has been following Jungkook's emotional journey for a long time, knows right away. This is not just a caption. It's a silent scream. This is the side of Jungkook that few of us know about. The fragile side. The one that is trying to heal itself. In silence. One big question hung in the dark sky that night. What really happened between Jungkook and his family? Is it just a phase? Will the letter be the only link between them? Or is it an event in the past that they have been hiding all this time, which is now slowly beginning to reveal itself in the form of letters and tears? We don't know. And maybe, for now, it's Jungkook's way of asking us to wait. Waiting for it to be ready. Waiting for it to recover. Waiting for him to come back. Not as an idol. Not as BTS's Magne, but as a human being who also has wounds, limits, and his own way of healing. As the evening slowly wore on, Korean media did not immediately release headlines about Jungkook's moment. Not as usual. Even major outlets such as Dispatch, The Ko, and Newson seemed to be holding back. As if they were waiting on whether this is just hearsay. Waiting to see if the circulating letter is just fanfic tucked too neatly between realities. But one thing they forgot. No one can read Jungkook's heart more sensitively than ARMY. The ARMY that night, not sleeping, trending hashtag whereas Jungkook family shot to position 1 on Twitter X in 15 minutes. But more than that, trending number 2, and this is what gives goosebumps, is the hashtag Surakejua, second letter? Who spread it? And more importantly, who is the recipient? Just hours after the first letter went viral, an anonymous account in the international ARMY community under the name Hyung uploaded a snippet of the second letter with the cryptic watermark, JK Hand 2025. The sentence is only a few lines, yet it breaks the heart of anyone who reads it. Hyung, if you're reading this, don't blame yourself. I know you're trying to keep me from going too deep. But I should know, am I still Jungkook when I'm done from this place? Or am I just a remnant of the Magne you once boasted about? And at the end of the letter, it says only one name, Taeil. How is that possible? Is this letter really for BTS's Taeil? Does this mean they both had emotional tension before Jungkook entered the military? Aren't they known as the two closest friends, even from the pre-debut days? But it's precisely because of that closeness. Many begin to connect the points of injury. Some armies began reopening Jungkook and Taeil's old life, especially ahead of enlistment. During one of their last VLive sessions, there was a moment when Taeil tried to joke about what will change after the military, and Jungkook laughed awkwardly as he replied, "Hopefully I can still sing the same way." But at the end of that live, when the camera seemed to have stopped recording, the microphone still caught Jungkook's faint voice saying, "If I change, don't come to take me back. I may not want to go home." No one noticed that phrase. To this day, SO, what made Jungkook feel that he would change so much? What happened in the military camp? Or before that scared him into becoming a version of himself? The letter was written with a trembling hand, according to a graphological analysis of a Japanese fan community examining pen strokes on paper. They even found uneven ink pressure, which indicates that the author was holding his breath and emotions while writing it. The ink in the "Don't Blame Yourself" section is darker and deeper, signifying a huge weight that he wanted to remove, but didn't know how, the graphologist wrote. Shortly after the letter went viral, BTS official Weverse account upload. If the sky could talk that day, perhaps he would cry first before Jungkook could look down.
No cheers.
No hugs from his father or mother. No brother's hand used to grab his shoulder and say, "You did your best." It's just Jungkook, alone, with eyes that did not shed tears, but were clearly wet with something deeper than sadness. Several young soldiers who had served with him in the last training said that Jungkook went through the final weeks of training with frightening calmness. He rarely talks, just practice, help, and sat for a long time in the same place every evening after dinner, on the edge of the back fence of the hostel, looking at the sky. He used to write in his little book, "But always tear off the sheet when you're done," said a fellow coach who did not want to be named, but one night, Jungkook didn't tear up the page. He just closed it slowly and said, "Maybe this is a letter I won't give to anyone." The phrase now haunts anyone who reads it, because the world just realized Jungkook is leaving a trail of wounds, not just memories. And he didn't do it for the drama. He did it because perhaps, for the first time, he truly felt alone. What exactly happened? Amid the confusion, many fans began to raise the possibility that Jungkook had a psychological disorder that he had been hiding. Famous Korean celebrity psychologist Dr. Han Mayan issued a statement in an open academic forum. Behaviors such as alienating oneself from the closest person when a great achievement occurs are often early signs of dissociative symptoms or identity fatigue. He added that young artists like Jungkook, who has lived in the spotlight since the age of 15, are very likely to experience what he called a personality void, a condition in which a person feels like he no longer knows who he is without the expectations of others, and that's when the most surprising issues began to circulate. An anonymous message appeared in the South Korean army community the night after the ceremony. The content is very short, just one sentence. "He's not coming back. Not what you think." Those who read this immediately panic. The community admin tried to calm down by stating that the message could have been just a troll. But the truth is slowly becoming undeniable, because 2 days later, a third letter appeared. Not a cut, but one whole sheet allegedly photographed secretly by someone from the military staff. The writing is smooth,
Neat.
but it harbors a grief that cannot be silenced. "I want you to remember me the way you want." It's full of laughter. Golden voice. Long black hair. The little boy who is chasing Hyung, but don't look for me if you can't recognize who I am. Because maybe I don't even know myself anymore. At the bottom of the letter, there is no name. Initials only. JJK Majimag Pum. JJK last night. The cry exploded in the World Army community. In Indonesia, Brazil, and Canada, fans began posting videos of themselves reading the letter while holding back sobs. The hashtags #comeback Jungkook, #please talk to us JK, and the most viral, #Jungkook Jangango began to flood the entire social media line. Not only that, major YouTube channels such as DKDK TV, Korea Now, to CNN Indonesia began to raise this topic as an emotional phenomenon across countries. It's not because Jungkook is missing, but because Jungkook seemed to ask permission not to be found. What does this mean? Is Jungkook going on hiatus? Or more than that, is it planning a silent departure from the global stage? In the midst of the panic, HYB did not visit to give an official statement. Even BTS's Weverse account simply reposted an old photo of Jungkook from the yet-to-come concert, as if dismissing the fact that such days might be over. But what made the public wonder the most was when Taeil finally broke the silence. In an Instagram story 24 hours after the third letter went viral, Taeil posted a photo of his military boots half submerged in rainwater.
No captions.
No sound. Only the sound of raindrops falling, and one song that accompanies it, Lost by BTS. The lyrics of the song hit the hearts of fans. "I'm lost, I'm lost. I'm still standing here, don't know where to go. I'm just walking, did I go, I go." Is that in return for Jungkook? Is that an apology? Or last message? No one knows for sure. But the emotions contained behind those moments are more real than anything they've ever seen from BTS. This is not promotional content. This is not a comeback strategy. This is the most human side of people who have been known through cheers and screens. And as